Hi everyone, it's me, Leisha. Welcome to Imperfect Permaculture. I took an unexpected hiatus, unexpected but necessary, and I'm going to share a little bit about that with you. But I also feel like it's important right now to share the ways that I am still designing my life using the ethics and principles of permaculture, and how my life design now incorporates some preparations for an uncertain future. We always have an uncertain future, don't we? But things like building community and ways of building resilience so that we can survive what may come. So I'll start by filling you in on some things. In October, after the last video that I filmed, I made the difficult but I'm just going to say correct decision to close my Etsy shop where I sold my jewelry. The Etsy shop had not been generating sales for quite some time. I had the shop for almost 9 years, and the amount of input that it required from me in the way of time and energy and even to some extent the monetary commitment inputs that it required from me were far greater than the outputs that I needed from it to justify continuing putting all of that work into it. So very much like if I had a plant in a garden that required an excessive amount of water, maybe just all kinds of extra nutrients and things, and was simultaneously taking from the other plants in my garden that were sustaining themselves just fine, except for the pressure of the sort of plant that's just not performing well, I would remove that plant. It wouldn't make sense in the garden because you don't want to lose many plants for one plant. It just requires more than your garden is able to give without sacrificing your other plants. It's all about balancing those relationships. And hopefully in a garden, we have mutually beneficial relationships. We do companion planting so that plants, let's say deep rooting plants like garlic and perennial onions, root deep, grab nutrients from deep in the soil that the plants with shallower roots can't get to, and they draw those up. And likewise, the plants with the shallower roots may be the plants that are depositing nitrogen. In permaculture, we use guilds where we choose plants that work together to help support each other. There is not a plant that takes everything and leaves the other plants struggling. That wouldn't make any sense. So likewise, it's important to me that in my life I have guilds. Those guilds are in community. I require reciprocating relationships in community, and they also involve the way that I spend my time. I have to choose activities that help support, perhaps even support each other, but if not, at the very least, don't draw from each other. And in that spirit, keeping an Etsy shop stocked and keeping all of the necessary supplies to be able to accept an order at any time, and simultaneously not getting more than maybe 1 or 2 orders a year, I made the decision to close it. And at the same time, I was finishing out the year with a few markets where I would be selling jewelry in person. And so I had a lot, about 200 pieces of jewelry that I had to get done by November. And so it seemed like my plate was pretty full with just getting through that and trying to use up as much of my inventory as I could, and just try to end the year on a high note with my jewelry, and then start again afresh in the new year. So that didn't leave any time or really energy or focus for me to make a video. And then we had the election, and as I'm sure is not a surprise to many of you who know me, I was heartbroken by the election results, and really had to spend some time working through some fear that came up and some past trauma that was sort of reignited. And so it was important for me to just take some time, some additional time, to process what I was feeling and allow myself to feel all the feelings. And I did a lot of journaling and just some rest, which I encourage everyone to rest. You know, rest is an act of resistance. We do not need to be burning ourselves up all the time. We do not need to be going all the time. It's unnecessary. That pattern is not repeated anywhere else in nature. There is no living being that has no time of slowness or dormancy or sleepiness, depending on the being that we're talking about. If you have pets, observe them and see how often they're resting versus how often they're actively doing things. And since it's winter, you can look outside at the trees to see how they don't produce all year round. So, food for thought. We need to rest. It's the only way to refuel. It helps us be clearer in thought and intention. It helps us to strategize. It helps to keep our systems, our nervous systems, regulated. And these are all really important things. So I rested. Then the winter holidays arrived. With it came other big feelings, wanting to celebrate the winter with my family, wanting to decorate a tree, wanting to bake, wanting to plan family meals, and so I took the month of December and focused on my family and on experiencing joy. Joy is also an act of resistance. I strongly believe that. And I'm not speaking about burying our heads in the sand and experiencing joy on a superficial level. I'm talking about being aware of what is going on, being aware of your surroundings, being aware of what's happening in your community, and finding joy in small things, big things, wherever you can, because that is what keeps us fed internally, those moments of joy. And so for me, watching my husband and adult offspring devour 5 dozen chocolate chip cookies in 2 or 3 days, and then proceed to do it again when I made oatmeal raisin, was joy. That was joy for me. Seeing them enjoy something that I made, and the practice of, while I was baking for my family, I was very intentional about how I thought, or what my thoughts were while I was making the cookie dough, thinking about how much I love them, thinking about what a gift it is that I'm able to take ingredients and put them together and create something that wasn't there before. Grateful. I felt grateful, which lends itself well to finding joy. Grateful that my body is healthy and that I'm able to stand in the kitchen and do that when I choose to. And so that gets us to January, which here we're still here. So this month I have been focusing on the permaculture principle of slow, small change. And one of the slow, small changes that I'm making is I am learning to crochet, and I plan to learn to knit as well. And the reason that I have chosen to do this is that some time has freed up now that I don't have the Etsy shop. And I still wanted to engage in a handicraft, and crochet and knitting lend themselves to far greater use and a far greater audience than jewelry does. Babies need blankets, children need hats, adults like scarves and sweaters, and on and on and on. And so I've decided that it would be a good practice for me to learn, a good craft for me to learn, and it helps me with my mental health. It gives me something to focus on and something to do with my hands, and it's also its own act of resistance. Learning a craft that could be used to help your community, that I could make things that could be donated to people in need. I can certainly make things for my own family. I can learn to repair and alter clothing this way. And if push comes to shove, it could be a way for me to either trade for goods or services, or to maybe make a little bit of money if I decide to sell the goods that I make. And I was inspired to take up crochet when a friend of mine offered some yarn and knitting needles and a little crochet kit that she and her mom were not interested in having anymore, and she asked if I would like it, if I would use it. And I was like, yeah, I want to learn crochet. That would be great. Yeah, let's do it. That's perfect, and so I took the yarn and the needles and the crochet hook and have started learning from there, and then have since found out that other friends of mine do crochet or knitting, and I even found a knitting, crocheting, fabric crafts meetup at our local library that happens once a month, and so I plan to check that out in February once I feel like I know enough crochet stitches to be able to sit there and actually work on a project with everyone. So I want to share the message of slow, small change, of pause, of reflection, of action. The principles and ethics of permaculture apply just as much now as they did in October when I was talking about this. Obviously, they're going to continue to apply. Earth care, people care, fair share. And in addition to these sorts of activities that I've been engaging in, I've also committed to only making absolutely necessary purchases this year. And in preparation for that, I did purchase some new books that I thought would be helpful. Reading is an act of resistance. Reading books that inform us about history, inform us about empathy, inform us about other people's lived experiences, inform us about what actions we can take. I've been really embracing all of those kinds of books, and I'll have a list of book recommendations in the description of this video. Looby Macnamara, who is the author of People in Permaculture, which is a book I highly recommend, also wrote 2 other books. One is Cultural Emergence, and the other is 7 Ways to Think Differently, I believe, is what it's called. And I ordered both of them, and I get them directly from her publisher, Chelsea Publishing. So it's a small publisher. They publish environmental or books that are concerned with environmental issues, permaculture. So you can order from Chelsea Publishing, and that they are a good ethical publisher. And I'm also finishing up Braiding Sweetgrass, which is a wonderful book about changing the way that we think of our relationships with plants, and written by an Indigenous author. Again, I will reference her in the description. I can't recommend that enough. And I just got the book My Grandmother's Hands, and it is a book about racial trauma, generational racial trauma. People care includes you. People care includes me. People care, of course, includes our community, our family, our friends. I have been checking in with my friends. I've had friends reach out to me. I do tend to go quiet when I feel overwhelmed. Sometimes I don't know what to say. I feel actually flooded with so many thoughts that I just don't know how to make them concise. And in fact, this video is probably a bit rambly, but I'm just speaking from the heart. So I am finding that I am better able to regulate myself and keep my emotions in check and strategize rather than panic or shut down through these things, through continuing to engage in playing music, writing songs with my husband, which I love doing, but also my solitary interests, which now include crochet, but my plants, my writing. My garden is inactive right now because of the time of year, but I still tend to the birds and try to make sure that the water baths are filled. So all of those things, and talking with my friends, even if it's just a quick message over our phones, or a call over Zoom, or meeting up in person, all of those things are really important. It helps us keep our connections. It helps us stay mentally healthy. It helps us know we're not alone. And so I would just offer that up, that if you are feeling overwhelmed, or you're not sure what to do, or shut down, or in any kind of way that you would like to work through, I encourage rest, drink water. I've been pretty bad about that, I gotta say. I had to have lab work done yesterday just for my annual physical, and kind of got a wag of the finger from the phlebotomist for my obviously dehydrated blood. So I do actually have a beverage nearby. read books if you find that comforting or interesting. Listen to audiobooks if you don't want to read, although I do encourage people to read. There's a lot of studies about what reading does for us. A lot of mechanisms aside from just interpreting words off of a page. Picking up a new interest. I have to say, I don't like the word hobbies. I know that it's a really common word, and I know that that this is a me thing with my neurodivergence in particular, but I feel so passionate about the things that I'm interested in that hobbies just seem so belittling to it. And again, that's just a me thing. I'm not telling anyone that you can't call them hobbies, but as I felt myself about to say that, I thought I'm just going to call them interests, because that vibes with me more than hobbies. Hobby feels like something you only do for an hour or two, like on the weekend, and the interests to me are like at any time I can pick up a crochet hook, at any time I can tend to my plants, at any time I can pick up my bass or sit at the keyboard or sing. And so anyway, I feel like I live in my interests, and so they don't feel like hobbies to me. Anyway, I hope that anything that I've said has been interesting. I hope that this brings you some kind of, I don't know, just knowing that you're not alone if you are feeling a bit out of sorts. I told a friend today, I feel like I'm finally getting my footing under me, but there's still just a lot that I am absolutely still processing, and more things that are changing in my own world that I'll share in future videos. I don't want to make this video go too long. I'm afraid it may have already gone too long. I did get a new microphone. Oop. You may have noticed that I did get a microphone. This was a gift to myself so that my sound quality would be better for the videos. And also because at some point I'd like to maybe film outside, and really the only way to do that is to have a microphone without having the camera just right up in my face, which I don't want. So anyway, I guess that's it for now. And I hope that you are well. I appreciate you being here. I don't plan on having another hiatus like that. I've had several friends be very encouraging about me continuing to make these videos, which is so helpful. It's hard to just sit in a room alone and talk to the camera and try to keep track of what I've been saying. I learn a lot when I edit these. But knowing that it brings anybody anything of value makes it worth showing up and doing. And also, I just want everyone to know that there's a lot of us that care. There's a lot of us who have committed to living by our principles, living by our values, and engaging in people care, earth care, and fair share. And I am one of those people, so I'm here for it. And I appreciate you being in my community. And until next time, be well. If you've subscribed, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's great. If you haven't, I appreciate the subscription. It helps me get out to more people who may need to hear something I have to say, or may just be interested in something I have to say, or may want to just watch me grow the color out of my hair because I've decided to stop coloring it, which is just another little small, slow change that I'm making to better live my values and not produce waste in that way. So whatever you're here for, welcome. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will be back with more thoughts about applying permaculture, joy as an act of resistance, crochet for resilience, growing your own food, as much as I can do that, and I'll share more resources with you all. Take care. Thank you for being here. Bye.